when I discovered my parents sold my dream house for my brother's epic vacation. Devastating truth. The sun beat down on the neighborhood, casting long shadows on the familiar streets where I had played as a child. The paint on my dream house was chipped and faded, but it was still the heart of my family. Or at least I thought it was. One day, I arrived home to find a sold sign staked right in front of the yard, glaring at me like an accusation. My chest tightened. I could barely breathe. How could they? My parents had sold it. The house that held every memory, my first birthday party, family dinners filled with laughter, and summer afternoons in the backyard. It was gone just like that. And for what? My brother's vacation? Strange things had been happening over the last few weeks. My parents whispered in hushed tones late into the night, their brows furrowed with worry. They would cut off conversations when I entered the room, like I was a ghost in my own home. I could feel tension in the air, thick and suffocating. And just when I thought the nightmare couldn't get worse, the emptiness of my home mocked me. The walls felt cold and uninviting, as if they knew what had happened. I clutched a photo of my brother and me taken in that very yard, his innocent smile a sharp contrast to the chaos swirling in my heart. I confronted them. Trembling hands, a lump in my throat. Why would you do this? Why sell our home for his trip? My mom's eyes welled up with tears, but she didn't answer. And my dad? He simply looked away, his silence screaming louder than any words. An eerie chill swept through me. My brother, the golden child, had somehow pulled this off. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. In the days that followed, my mind raced. I couldn't escape the maddening questions. What else were they hiding? I paced back and forth on the cracked pavement outside the house, unable to shake the feeling that something darker lurked behind this betrayal. My brother had returned with tales of adventures, but a shadow flickered in his eyes, something I couldn't grasp. Had he manipulated my parents? I needed answers I was sure they wouldn't give up easily. I stared at the house, its emptiness calling out to me, begging me to uncover the truth behind the walls that had once echoed with joy. Would I find the answers I sought, or merely more questions? I took a deep breath, ready to delve deeper into the mystery that had shattered my world. The smell of freshly mowed grass hung in the air, mixed with a sense of dread that settled deep in my stomach. I glanced over my shoulder, half expecting my parents to emerge from the house, but the world felt abandoned, almost as empty as the home they had stripped from me. My heart raced as I steeled myself, determined to dig beneath the surface of this unsettling betrayal. I made my way around the side of the house, careful not to step on the overgrown weeds that had overtaken the once pristine garden. Each step felt like a betrayal of its own. I was intruding on a space that once felt like mine, yet now it belonged to someone else. The back porch creaked beneath me, old wood groaning under my weight. I'd spent countless afternoons out here, dreaming of adventures and futures that seemed to unfold like the pages of my favorite book. Peering through the window into what used to be the living room, I felt the pang of loss hit me hard. The furniture was gone, and the empty space whispered stories of laughter and love now replaced by suffocating silence. I pressed my palm against the cold glass, and the numbness in my chest deepened. What was I looking for? A lingering ghost of happiness? Or something within those walls that could explain their decisions? Suddenly, a flash of movement caught my eye. I turned quickly, catching sight of my brother a few houses down, standing with friends, his laughter ringing out like the sirens that haunted my nightmares. The sound twisted like a knife in my gut. How could he be so carefree? I felt like a puppet with my strings cut, a play waiting to end while he danced through life without a care to end that moment. An idea struck me, a thought saturated with desperation. I would confront him, ask him directly what was going on. Because if my parents were hiding something, he was the key to unlocking it all. I marched down the street, each step echoing my determination. As I approached, I caught fragments of their conversation, the quick bursts of laughter making my skin crawl. "You won't believe what happened next," my brother exclaimed, his grin wide and infectious. But it faltered when he saw me approaching. The flicker of recognition painted his face with confusion, and suddenly, it felt like our childhood barrier had cracked right between us. "Hey," I called out, my voice sharper than intended. The laughter dissipated, replaced by an awkward silence as his friends exchanged glances. "What's up?" he said, his tone casual, but I could see the current of tension flickering beneath. I took a deep breath, gathering the words that wanted to tumble out all at once. "Why did you let them sell the house?" I almost shouted. The words hung heavy in the air, thick with accusation. His face tightened, and a flicker of something darker flashed in his eyes, something I had never seen before. "It's not what you think." But before I could press him further, the sound of a car engine rumbled in the distance, growing louder. My heart hammered as an unfamiliar vehicle pulled up at our old house. I didn't know who it was, yet every part of me sensed something was very wrong. "Who's that?" I whispered, voice barely holding together, a nervous energy coursing through me. My brother's expression faded into a mask of panic, and he glanced over his shoulder like a trapped animal. "You should go. Now." The tension in the air thickened, wrapping around us like an invisible rope. There was no turning back now. I needed to know the truth, and it looked like I wouldn't have to wait long to uncover whatever secret shimmered behind the curtain of my family's lies. As the strangers emerged from the car, the pieces of this twisted puzzle threatened to jangle free. I felt it in my bones. Something was about to break, and I was right at the center of it all. The tension in the air felt electric. I stood frozen, my heart racing, as they stepped out of the car. Two figures, hooded and shrouded in shadows, moved with eerie precision. Their faces were obscured, but the confidence in their posture sent a chilling wave through me. "Who are they?" I whispered, my voice scarcely above a breath, but my brother was already backing away, eyes wide with fear. "You need to leave," he urged again, glancing nervously at the strangers who were now circling the house as if laying claim. "My family, this is my home," I shot back, indignant fury rising up to drown out my fear. "Just go," he snapped, his voice low yet desperate, as if speaking too loudly would summon something worse than the strangers before us. There was a raw edge to his words, an urgency I couldn't ignore. I hesitated, torn between loyalty and instinct. But then I caught a glimpse of their movements, smooth and practice point. One of the figures reached into a dimmer pocket, and I flinched, panic igniting my fight-or-flight response. Against all reasoning, I stepped forward, hurling my anger like a shield. "What do you want? Who sent you?" The second figure, taller and broader, turned slightly. "We're not here to hurt you. We just want to talk." Their voice was like gravel, but there was something almost familiar about it. It scratched against my memory, stirring unease. "Talk? Why would anyone want to talk?" The shadows flickered in my mind, conjuring what my brother tried to hide. A family fracture. Secrets buried so deep they could suffocate. "Your brother knows what we're after," the first figure stated, tilting their head, almost as if they appreciated the mounting tension. My stomach dropped. My brother's frightened glance betrayed him, pulling me into a pit of dread. "What do you mean?" I demanded, the urge to shake the truth out of him bubbling in my throat. The strangers shifted toward him, an unsettling calm surrounding them. "Let us not keep secrets any longer. We know about the sale, and we're here to ensure it goes smoothly." I felt sick at the implication, the weight of their words crashing over me. My brother's face morphed from fear into something harder, more resolute. "I told you it's not what you think," he said, voice cracking slightly. I stepped closer to him, instinctively, raw emotion flaring in my chest. "What's going on? Why did you let them sell our house?" His gaze fell to the ground, the resolve fading. "I didn't have a choice. They promised." Before he could finish, The taller figure laughed, a sound devoid of warmth. "Oh, don't be coy, kid. You know what happens if you don't comply." And just like that, the delicate fabric of my family unraveled. Rage and betrayal surged through me, almost palpable. I was done waiting for answers, done feeling helpless. "Back off," I shouted, practically shoving my brother aside. "You don't get to talk to him like that." An icy silence enveloped us, the air thick with impending chaos. Just then, a third figure emerged from behind the car, someone I recognized instantly. My heart dropped. It was a figure from my fractured past, a friend turned foe. "Hello, long time no see." They smirked, eyes glinting with malice. "We need to finish what we started." The walls began to close in, reality shifting beneath me. Fear clawed at my throat, and my lungs felt heavy. The shadows that seeped into our lives were darker than I could have imagined, wrapping around secrets and shattered bonds. "Your brother's vacation is just the beginning. You have no idea what you're getting into," that voice taunted. As the whole world swirled with the weight of truths yet unearthed, in that moment, I realized I wasn't just fighting to reclaim my home. I was caught in a web of deception that threatened to claim everything dear to me. What secrets did my brother hold? And what had they really promised him in exchange for so much? I braced myself, knowing I was about to dive deeper into a darkness that could consume us both. The figure in front of me stepped closer, shadows cutting across their features, but I could still see the glint of familiar cruelty in their eyes. My pulse raced, a frantic drumbeat echoing in my ears. "What do you mean, finish what we started?" I demanded, my voice more stable than I felt. "Let us just say your brother caught the attention of some people," they replied smoothly. "And now we're here to collect on an old debt." Their tone dripped with malevolence, darkness curling around their words. "Debt?" I echoed, confusion spiraling into panic. "What debt? What have you dragged him into?" The third figure shifted slightly, revealing a flicker of impatience beneath that sinister veneer. "Your family has always been in over their heads. Selling the house was just another way of cleaning up a mess. And we're not leaving without what we came for." An icy realization took root in my gut, wrapping around my heart. My brother, a child lost in a dangerous game orchestrated by shadows deeper than I could fathom. "You won't get anything from us," I declared, straightening up despite the void of fear clawing at my throat. "This is our home." "Your brother seems to think otherwise," the tall one interjected, crossing their arms. "He agreed to a deal. And maybe, just maybe, you'll get to see how serious it is." My brother looked torn, his expression a churning sea of regret and defiance. "You need to listen to me. I thought I could fix things." His voice broke as the weight of it all bore down on him. "What exactly did you think you were fixing?" I shot back, sharp words tinged with a desperate desire for clarity. "You didn't have to involve them." The taller figure adjusted his stance, almost savoring the unraveling drama. "Oh, but he did. And now it's up to you to decide your family's fate. At least what's left of it." My stomach twisted like a knife. We were caught, trapped in the crosshairs of a betrayal I didn't choose, haunted by lives tethered to my brother's choices. "Leave him alone," I yelled, my voice rising against their cool, sinister facade. "Whatever this is, we'll find a way to end it. We're family." A low rumble of laughter echoed from the shadows, breaking the tension, and I felt a shiver crawl down my spine. "Family?" The voice was mocking. "How quaint. You think blood binds all things. But loyalty? That's a different game entirely." "Stop." My words ricocheted off the walls, desperation rising like bile. "I won't let you play with his life." They simply tilted their heads, enjoying the chaos they orchestrated. "Then do something about it." "We're waiting." Suddenly, the air shifted, tension thickening palpably. What were they really after? I gazed at my brother, seeing the shimmer of innocence clouding his features, struggling against the darkness he'd chosen. With no other choice, I stepped closer to him, grasping his shoulders firmly. "We can fight this together. You were never alone. Not in this." But the shadows loomed, ready to consume us whole. The figures kept advancing, calculating, waiting for our next move. What would it take to dismantle the web encasing us? Could family, haunted by secrets and betrayal, find the strength to rise? As the pressure closed in, I steeled myself against the tide of darkness creeping toward us. In the dim light, with danger encircling, I realized the fight was just beginning. Did we have the fortitude to confront our past and unearth the truth hidden beneath betrayal? The moments stretched, poised on the knife's edge of decision. But one thing was clear. This was no longer just about reclaiming our home, it was about fighting for our lives. And as I stood there, confronting our twisted fate, a thought skittered through my mind. What could happen if we lost the struggle? My heart raced as I looked into my brother's scared eyes, realizing that this mess wasn't just about grown-up decisions anymore. It was about breath-stealing fear and the loss of everything we held dear. The figures tightened their grip on the moment, waiting for us to falter. The palpable tension enveloped the space, as if the air itself conspired against us, thick and suffocating. I glanced back at the right one, the one who first spoke, and my anger sparked against the encroaching fear. "What do you want?" I challenged, pushing against the inertia of dread holding me back. "Oh, we'll get what we came for," the voice replied, oozing self-satisfaction. "But it's up to you how that happens. You could make this easy, or they let the unspoken threat hang in the air. Brother gulped, anxiety flickering on his face. "What are they talking about?" he asked, glancing between me and them. "I didn't want this," the mockery returned, swirling like smoke. "You made your choice, kid. Now you have to live with it just like your sister. Isn't that right?" I felt a surge of defiance mix with the heavy dread clinging to me. "You don't know us," I shot back, trying to sound brave, but I could feel the tremor underlying my voice. "You think we're just gonna roll over because you say so?" Those mocking eyes briefly filled with something darker, surprise and interest, perhaps. "Oh, we're counting on you to fight, sweetheart. It's so much more entertaining that way." I pushed myself between my brother and their looming presence, determination sharpening with every passing second. "Get away from him," I screamed, my voice ringing with a mix of desperation and fierce protection that sent a ripple of warning through the shadows. "Or what?" the tall figure replied, stepping forward, their confidence overpowering. "This is your game now, and games have rules. We don't have to knock down your door to collect what's due." The threat was layered, woven into their words with a sinister kind of delight. My stomach twisted again, sensing the truth. We were on the precipice of something enormous and frightening. "Say your piece, sis," my brother whispered, his breath shaky as though he was peeling away his bravado. I could see the glimmer of fear in his eyes, fear of losing us both in the crossfire of choices he made. "You're not going to win," I tried to reassure him, though my heart pounded with the uncertainty taunting me from the dark edges. "We're stronger than this." Their laughter echoed low, filling the space with a cold chill that coursed through me. Such hope. How endearing. But hope alone won't save you. Suddenly, a sharp crack sounded, splitting the tension like thunder. A nearby window shattered, shards glistening like dangerous gems in the faint light. Every figure froze, eyes darting to the chaos. The distraction was a fleeting breath of relief, but it ignited something in me. "Now, we have to move. Get to the door," I shouted, instinct overriding fear. Adrenaline surged. We tore toward the exit, but they regained themselves swiftly. The tall figure lunged, grappling for my brother as the others followed suit. "Run!" I screamed, grabbing my brother's arm, dragging him with me toward the fading light. I could feel the tug of desperation in his grip as we barreled through the chaos, shoving our way past the phantoms of our past. The darkness chased us, alive and hungry. My heart pounded fiercely, but an echo of determination surged through my veins. As we reached the door, I felt a sense of urgency swell within. "This isn't over," I called back to them, though it sounded more like a prayer than a promise. But what awaited us outside? What had we unleashed in our flight? The night loomed ominously, filled with terrifying uncertainty. With every step I took into the unknown, the suffocating fear of losing everything tightened its grip. But now, we were stumbling toward something larger, an unseen conflict brewing just outside our door. What awaited us in the darkness ahead? Whatever it was, I knew one thing. We were dragging our past with us, and only we could navigate the dangerous terrain of betrayal and hidden truths. The air was cold as we burst out of the building, the chill slicing through the adrenaline coursing in my veins. I looked into the black, vast night, the stars mere flickers against the oppressive darkness. My feet pounded against the pavement, my heart thundered in my ears, but all I could feel was my brother's trembling hand tight in mine. "Where do we go?" he gasped breathlessly, worry etched on his face as shadows flickered behind us. I didn't need to answer. Neither of us had a plan, just the primal instinct to escape. "Anywhere but here," I shouted back, my voice strained as I pushed us forward, past old lampposts that huddled light in the corners of the street, illuminating the escape routes between us and those figures in the building. Every noise loomed large, the skittering of leaves in the wind, the crackling of branches. I dared not look back. I could feel their gazes like icy grips at my spine. What if they followed? Why are they after us? My brother's voice wavered. Fear twisted his features, and I could see the questions weighing down on him. "I don't know," I replied in a harsh whisper, trying to drown out the questions of my own. "But they want something we can't let them have." Suddenly, a loud crash echoed behind us. I froze for a brief moment, adrenaline snapping like a taut string in my chest. A streetlight flickered, then exploded, spilling glass like confetti in a festival of chaos. My heart stopped. I seized my brother's arm tighter, urging him forward again. A few blocks away, I spotted the old diner. It stood like an oasis in a desert of dread, dimly lit, warm, inviting. I pushed through the door and we stumbled inside, gasping for breath. The smell of coffee and pancakes filled the air, and for a moment, I thought we might be safe. But the waitress, with her wide eyes and trembling hands, sensed the fear radiating off us. "Are you all right?" she asked, concern etched in her voice, an echo of our own fear reflected back to us. Just give us a minute," I managed to reply, feeling my heart slam against my ribcage. My brother stood beside me, eyes darting toward the glass door, willing it to hold at us. We caught our breath. I glanced outside. The street was empty, but my unease festered. "This can't be over," I murmured, recalling the icy grip of the figures and their promises laced in threats. "What do we do?" my brother asked, frustration bubbling in his voice. "Why can't we just call Mom or Dad?" "Because we don't know." The words caught in my throat as a realization slammed into me. What if they know something we don't? My mind raced back to secrets whispered in the dark. The house we had grown up in, the laughter at the dinner table, the life we had built. What if somewhere in their plans they sacrificed it for his epic vacation? No, the thought surged through my veins like ice. They wouldn't. But doubt spread its claws. Unshed tears brimmed in my brother's eyes, anger and hurt dancing behind the confusion. The shadows pressed close, tempting us with darkness. Just then, the sound of footsteps broke the fragile silence. They were too steady, too deliberate. My heart stopped once more, teetering on the edge of panic. "Get away from the windows," I hissed, pulling my brother behind me as I crouched low. Outside, I could see two figures moving across the street, dark silhouettes against the glow of the diner's neon sign. They were searching, sniffing the air like predators on the hunt. And suddenly the truth hit me with a striking clarity. "Stop! You can't," I began. But before I could finish, the door swung open. An icy gust of wind rushed in, and the last haunting eyes I wanted to see were poised against us. "Hello, children." A calm voice struck like a match, igniting fear anew. "Looking for something?" Right then, I knew we were not just running from the shadows but rather facing the very darkness that had followed us home. What could we risk losing next? I had to make a choice, and time was slipping away. The figures stepped inside, their silhouettes dominating the tiny diner as the door swung shut behind them. The muffled sound of city life outside faded away, making the atmosphere even more stifling. I could see their hard faces under the unflattering diner lights. Inches away from us now, curiosity mixed with a predatory hunger in their eyes. Your little game of hide-and-seek has ended. The calm voice continued, laced with a faint, mocking tone. My brother squeezed my hand, fingers trembling against my palm. Who are you? I challenged, my voice trembling, unsure if courage or desperation fueled my words. What do you want from us? The taller figure stepped forward, revealing a scar running across his brow, a reminder of battles fought, born of secrets, chaos, and scars. We want what you have, what you possess. Your parents made a deal and we intend to collect. My heart sank as I tried to process his words. What deal? Images of family dinners and laughter in our home filled my mind, but I couldn't shake off the icy grip of fear. The shorter figure, arms folded tightly across his chest, chuckled softly. You don't know, do you? Your parents sold you a dream just to pay for a fabricated adventure. This has been brewing for a long time. They were always good at hiding the truth. Stop it, my brother cried, eyes wide, shattered by the realization. They wouldn't, but I felt the weight of the words, familiar unease creeping up my spine. What do you even want from us? I demanded, dragging my brother closer behind me, desperate to shield him from the impending dread. Only a simple exchange, the tall figure smirked. Submit to our plan and things will be easier for you both. Resist this and well, you'll find what happens to those who betray a family. Family? The word felt like a blade. All around us, other diners quietly observed, their plates untouched and their eyes wide. I could sense the terror vibrating through the air, the murmur of fear, yet nobody dared to intervene. Each silent face reflected the deep, unsettling undercurrent that swept through the diner. We're not going anywhere with you, I said defiantly, the storm of emotions clashing within me, but the fear straining my voice made it sound insincere. Ah, but your escape isn't as simple as defiance, the scarred man shot back. Your parents have given us this leverage. He reached into his coat and pulled out an envelope, let it dangle like a pendulum, as if aware of its power. All we need is a sign from you, a simple agreement, and life can go on without the shadows closing in. My brother took a small step back, breathing heavily. We can't trust you. Trust is an illusion. The shorter figure laughed, insulated by confidence. What about the truth? Your family has already laid the groundwork. Their choices have put you here, and these choices they can't be undone. Fear clamped down on my chest, suffocating and unyielding. Behind me, the diner felt surreal. This normally lively place was cold now, and the scent of coffee turned sour. A waitress glanced at us with wide eyes, uncertain whether to call for help or leave us to our fate. Outside, shadows flitted, lost beneath the neon lights. I turned my gaze back to the men. What do you want us to do? I asked, realization dawning. It was not just about fear, it was about sacrifice. Follow our lead. Be willing to give up what doesn't belong to you, the taller figure replied, his voice chilling. All families have secrets. Yours just happens to involve some unsavory transactions. My pulse quickened. I could feel a reckoning was coming, an ultimatum hanging heavily over us like thunder before a storm. This was no longer about just running away. The weight of our family's choices was unearthing truths we weren't prepared for. What decision would you make? I thought. The question turned over in my head while dread seeped through my veins. I needed to figure out how deep the betrayal ran before choosing to fight for our lives or follow the path laid out for us. But with that dread came another chilling realization. What if the path I chose was lined with even darker secrets? As the figures edged closer, the air charged with uncertainty. One thought pierced through the chaos: were we even ready to confront what our parents had hidden from us? Or would the shadows of fear consume everything we loved? It was time to face the truth, whatever it may be. But would the truth risk losing everything to darkness? The tension in the diner thickened like fog, wrapping around us and squeezing the breath from my lungs. The scarred man stepped closer, his shadow swallowing the table as he leaned in. You have until midnight, he whispered, his voice like ice scraping against metal. After that, The consequences will be severe. My brother's gasp shattered the silence, a desperate plea escaping his lips. What does that mean? You can't just take us. Sweetheart, the shorter figure said with feigned innocence. It's not about taking you. It's about freeing you from the weight of your family's burdens. SNT that what you want? Everything inside me screamed to run, but my legs felt like lead. As I glanced around at the other patrons, some staring, some pretending to sip their coffee without a care, I realized none of them were coming to our aid. Instead, they were captive spectators in this twisted show. Listen, I said, voice shaking yet determined. Whatever lies my parents may have gotten into, they're ours to deal with. You don't have to drag us into it. The figures exchanged glances that spoke volumes. This was clearly not their first encounter, and their eyes glinted with anticipation. Do you really believe that? The tall man asked, amusement dancing in his voice, cutting through my resolve. You think you can shield yourself from the storm they've created? People don't just make deals with our kind without a price. Why can't you just leave us alone? Why now? My words spilled out, frantic desperation clawing at my throat. I felt the weight of each heartbeat, each breath merging into a cacophony of fear. Because, the shorter figure said, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, you might possess something very valuable. Or rather, your parents did. And we intend to claim what's ours. I could see my brother trying to hold on, his face pale and drawn, the innocence of youth facing shattered realities. You can't force us to do anything. We won't agree to this. Their laughter echoed off the diner walls, chilling the air. But it's not a question of agreement. It's about compliance. The scarred man's gaze bore into mine, and I could almost feel the weight of the envelope he still held, like a hot iron forging a bond that could never be unmade. A dull roar of a motorcycle engine startled me, drawing my attention to an alley outside, where shadows darted and swirled. Suddenly, the door creaked open again, and a figure emerged, backlit by the harsh glow of the streetlights. A man, tall and cloaked. He surveyed the scene, muscles tensed, and I felt the shift in the air. Get away from them, he shouted, deep voice slicing through the tension. The men turned, their eyes narrowing. And who are you to meddle in business that doesn't concern you? I am exactly who you don't want to deal with, the newcomer retorted. The diner felt electrified, the air crackling with potential. Leave, kid, the scarred man warned, his calm demeanor slipping into annoyance. This is not your fight. Too late, he said, stepping forward. You chose the wrong family to threaten. All eyes jumped from him to the two men, who were now seriously assessing their options. A flicker of uncertainty crossed their faces, as if they had momentarily forgotten us. I seized the chance. Let us go, I cried out, urgency spilling over. Whatever you want with our parents, leave us out of it. But as I spoke, the imposing presence of the man shifted. He had drawn something from his coat, a glimmer of metal that reflected the diner lights like a warning. Enough, the shorter man barked, and the air grew heavy with tension again. Now we'll see how this plays out. In an instant, everything fell apart. The diner's melody of clinking silverware and whispered conversations silenced, replaced by the palpable thrum of impending chaos. The shadows grew longer, twisting as if alive, and I held my breath. Would this stranger help us or throw oil on the fire? Guessing his next move became my only thought. Was he here to save us or make things worse? And then came the real question: could one man truly stand against the darkness looming over my family? Would we all walk out of this diner alive? Just when I thought the dinner couldn't get any more volatile, I saw the glint in his eye. I could feel change rolling towards us, a storm that promised to either destroy or deliver. I braced myself for what was about to unfold, wondering would it rain hope or pain. The tension in the diner was a living thing, curling around us like an octopus' grip. The cloaked man glared at the scarred one, his hand steady as he pointed the knife, almost glinting in the dim light. Walk away, he shouted, the authority in his voice sending chills down my spine. I dared to glance at my brother, his eyes wide, trapped in a nightmare. Now is not the time for bravado, the scarred man sneered, stepping closer, intimidatingly invading the stranger's space. "You're outnumbered, kid. You don't know who you're messing with," the cloaked stranger replied, unwavering. His tone vibrated with an undercurrent of danger, assuring chaos was close at that moment. The world outside the diner turned silent, as if the very air was bracing itself. I felt time warp around us, every heartbeat amplified. Sweat dripped down my back. Could I even trust this stranger? Did he bear our salvation, or would he throw fuel onto the fire already raging? "What do you want?" I screamed, pushing through the din of chaos in my mind. The trembling in my hands only reminded me of how powerless I felt. The scarred man paused, amusement flickering in his narrowed eyes. "You want to know what we want?" he mocked. "We want you and everything tied to your family. They made a mistake, and now you're the price." The words hit like a punch, leaving me breathless. My heart raced wildly, with visions of my parents' faces rising in front of me. What had they done? What kind of world were we trapped in? "Shut up!" My brother's voice broke through my daze, trembling with anger and fear. He stood a little taller, holding on to whatever courage he had left. "You're not taking us anywhere." The sarcasm on the scarred man's lips faded slightly, and frustration replaced it. "You think you have a choice, kid? You're already in the game." A sudden crash startled me. The cloaked man had slammed his fist onto the table, sending salt shakers and ketchup flying. "Enough of this nonsense," he bellowed. "You're playing with fire. Either you release them now or what?" Interrupted the shorter man, his voice a low growl. The man seemed unimpressed, his eyes deadened. "You think you can threaten us?" Everyone held their breath, and I thought we'd all shatter under the pressure as the two men stared each other down. It was like watching two wild animals sizing each other up, ready to pounce. "Or else I will make this place a graveyard," he declared, and without warning, he lunged forward, a flash of silver arcing through the air. Time froze. The scarred man's expression twisted to disbelief, and a wave of fear swept through the diner. Recognition registered on the other patrons' faces, drawing gasps and frantic whispers. Then, as a fleeting instinct, I dove towards my brother, yanking him down just as a loud bang echoed through the diner, rattling windows. The sound felt like a gunshot, and I clamped my eyes shut, waiting for the impact. My heart thudded nearly out of my chest, and shockwaves pulsed through the room. When I opened my eyes again, the cloaked man was in motion, bringing more chaos with him. Chairs toppled and fists flew. The smell of burnt coffee filled the air, mingling with the scent of panic. What was happening? Would I lose my brother with everything else? The thought crashed over me like a tidal wave, twisting my gut. "Run!" the cloaked man yelled amidst the chaos, motioning toward the door. But the diner felt like a prison, its walls no longer friendly booths but entrapments in this surreal battle. Everyone dove for cover as the figures collided, their struggles escalating into a cacophony of shouting and frantic movements. And there we were, stuck between worlds, the safety of our childhood lives and the dangerous, heartbreaking reality creeping in. The clock read 11:47 p.m. The sharp hands seemed to echo a warning. Time was running out. Would we get out in time? Would our chance slip away with the seconds? I locked eyes with my brother, resolved to fight through this darkness together. But as the crowd erupted, taking sides in this chaotic war before us, I could only wonder, was safety even an option anymore? The clock kept ticking as I took a breath, both terrified and ready. We had to act fast before it was too late, before midnight swallowed us whole. Would we find a way, or would the storm consume everything we cherished? The chaos surged around them as the cloaked man battled the shadows of their family's secrets. A chair smashed against the wall, splintering into pieces. The noise swallowed the desperate cries of the other patrons, fighting for safety, but my focus settled solely on my brother's terrified eyes. "We need to move," I urged, tugging him toward the door bathed in a flickering neon glow. My heart raced not just for our escape, but the looming terror that trailed behind us. The figures were relentless, hunting for what they believed belonged to them. The world outside the diner felt like a distant memory as we pushed past terrified diners and shattered glass. I grasped my brother's arm, pushing him forward into the night. "Run!" I shouted as we bolted through the door, leaving the madness behind. We stumbled off the curb, panting, adrenaline coursing through our veins like fire. The street felt foreign under our feet, the moonlight casting long shadows that mirrored our fears. "What are we going to do?" My brother gasped, the raw panic painted across his face striking a chord deep inside me. I had to be the strong one, the shield against whatever storm was brewing. But doubt began to creep in. Had we truly escaped? I turned, looking back over my shoulder. The diner's light flickered, the chaos inside muted by distance. But I could feel their eyes searching, hovering in the darkness, lurking just beyond the edge of our newfound freedom. "Look!" I exclaimed, pointing down the street. A line of police cars blared their sirens, a rail help emerging through the tumultuous fog. The headlights danced like a beacon of hope, cutting through the night as they approached. For a moment, my heart swelled with relief. They'll stop them. They'll help us. My brother's face hardened with uncertainty, shadows clinging to his expression. What if the figures reach them first? His voice trembled. What if they're already inside? That terrifying thought echoed through me, twisting my insides. We need to tell them our side. We have to make sure they know the truth. I grasped my brother's hand tighter, ushering him forward. The police offer the only viable shelter from this storm. As we reached the waiting officers, their figures outlined against the patrol cars, we burst into breathless explanations. Each word spilled out in a rush, the overwhelming sense of panic spilling over. "They're after us. Please, you have to believe us," I exclaimed, desperation tightening my throat. But they exchanged skeptical glances, the light bouncing off their badges reflecting doubt. "Slow down. Take a breath," the taller officer instructed, eyeing us cautiously. "What are you talking about?" Just then, a shadow flickered at the edge of the street, and I felt my stomach drop. "They're here," I screamed, heart pounding as my brother squeezed my hand, eyes darting. The figures we thought we escaped from had materialized from the depths of despair, drawing closer with calculated precision. "Get back," the officers shouted, but I felt the air thicken as the cloaked menace moved with purpose. "It's us or them," one of the figures shouted, and I pursued them, the resolve igniting within me. I turned toward where the light of the police cars ended. "We'll fight. We'll tell them the truth." Standing shoulder to shoulder with my brother, I felt a rush of strength flood me, battling through the shadows as they grew closer. The police, unwavering, stepped forward, but the shadows didn't falter. "You shouldn't have messed with our business," the taller figure sneered, a twisted smile creeping along his lips. Recklessness thrummed in me, drowning out the warnings in my head. I wanted to scream back, to yell that the truth, our truth, had been suffocated by their lies. But instead, I steadied myself and called out, "You don't own us. You can't take away our choices." My words rang defiantly against the dark menace, a plead almost desperate. I didn't have a plan, but in that instant, I felt the outlines of one carving itself in the storm around us. The cop behind us called for backup, and the shadows flickered. "Back off," he barked, drawing his baton, the adrenaline fueling the moment. As the figures hesitated, it was in that fraught silence that my brother did something I never expected. He stepped forward, inching closer, looking at the shadowed figure with an unexpected determination. "I want to be a pawn in your game," he declared, voice rising above the chaos. It was a moment of clarity, a blazing spark of defiance. In that heartbeat, everything shifted. The cold air simmered with anticipation. The cloaked figure's eyes widened momentarily, a flicker of respect or perhaps surprise passing through. But the shadows of darkness surged back. "You don't understand," he snarled, attempting to regain control. "We always win." Fueled by courage, my brother spoke. "Not this time. We're taking back what's ours." And I mirrored his stance, stepping beside him. We faced the shadows as one, our family bonds strengthening. Something shifted in the air, sparking hope where despair once lived. The police, emboldened by our unity, moved forward, ready to fight beside us. With unexpected ferocity, we stood against the darkness this time, an unwavering wall of light chasing away fears that threatened to consume our lives. And just like that, the balance began to tip. "Stand down," echoed from the police, commands ringing louder than fear. The figures glanced at each other, uncertainty flickering through their cold, calculating eyes. It felt like a movie playing out in slow motion, the shadowy figures hesitating, gathering their retreat as the weight of our combined resolve pressed down against their looming darkness. "You'll regret this," the taller figure shouted, but as they fled into the night, I felt the tension in my chest deflating, replaced with relief. We had fought for our truth, stood together in face of betrayal, and saved each other not only as siblings but as a family. The darkness may linger, but we knew now we could rise against the shadows trying to erase everything dear to us as sirens echoed into the night. A different kind of weight lifted, a promise of renewal flickered in the horizon of our future. With all the hurt, betrayal, and pain behind us, I turned to my brother, our hearts pounding. "We'll rebuild one Tiwi?" I asked, looking into the raw courage on his face. "Together," he replied, a new light emerging. And with that, we stepped forward into the dawn of a new chapter, hand in hand, hearts ready to reclaim the home from the shadows, determined to forge our path forward. But our adventure is just beginning, and you won't want to miss it. If you want to see how our story unfolds, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about our journey. And don't wait even one more second to share this incredible moment with at least 5 friends who need to see how we took our lives back.